Greetings. This is Dr. Sharon Mijares, and I'm interviewing somebody that I have deep respect for his work, Jorge Calero in Colombia, and I have invited him to describe the work that he is doing. Greetings, Jorge.
Thank you, Sharon. Good morning and greetings to all the students that will be hearing this. Thank you for this invitation. And yes, let me introduce myself before we start having a conversation. I'm calling from Atlantida Eco-Village at this moment. This is a community I founded 13 years ago in 2004, and is part of one of my main concentrations of work is the eco-villages development. We, with other communities from Colombia, we established the Colombian network of communities, and then the Latin American network, which is called CASA, for the letters of the Consejo de Asentamientos Sustentables de las Américas, and we are members of the Global Eco-Village Network. I'm a biologist. I've been living in the countryside and in nature for nearly 20 years now. I work with rural communities also, indigenous groups, campesinos, peasants. I work with native spirituality and medicine plants, and I work with the dances of universal peace and the Sufi path. So what exactly do you want us
Well, first, let's describe some of the degrees that empower also what you do. That and what drew you to this work and even to get those degrees.
Well, as I told you, I'm a biologist with a special degree in social ecology. And then I did, several trainings and postgraduate diplomas. And finally, I ended up doing a master's degree in integrative eco-social design with Gaia University, which is a very interesting alternative university, which as a matter of fact, I liked it so much as a student that I end up working in it, and I'm now staff member of the Latin American version of Gaia University.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would you say, when I first heard of you, it was through Rosa Elena in Costa Rica. And at that time, she was telling me there was an annual gathering where many people from Latin American nations came that were working with sustainable living, with permaculture and what have you. And they would join for maybe approximately a week and share what they were doing. I would love you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, gatherings are so fundamental in the building up of a movement or of a network, of a family, of a tribe, and specifically speaking about the permaculture and environmental and, let's say, alternative people. These gatherings have been taking place in many countries, and for example, here in Colombia, we call it the Call of the Mountain, and it happens every year, the Call of the Mountain. And we started that event in 2006. From the beginning, we started to rotate it through different places and communities in Colombia. We first started just eco-villages, doing it, being hosted by eco-villages. But then we started to rotate it through also indigenous communities and peasants communities. So every year it gets bigger and bigger. Last one was done in the middle of the jungle with great success. So that is the Call of the Mountain. But then there's Vision Council that they do in Mexico every year, and then there is the calls they do in Chile, and every 2 years we have a major Latin American gathering, and this all started here at my house, at my home, Atlantida Eco Village. That's the name of this place, Atlantida Eco Village. And in year 2012, we felt the impulse to call on all our relations. So we, as a Colombian network of communities, got in contact with the Spanish network, the Mexican network, the Chilean network, the people from many other places, and we created the first Latin American gathering of all these movements, permaculture, eco villages, transition towns, natural healing, what they call the Red Road, yeah. And in that gathering in year 2012, we established the Latin American Network. And from that moment on, every 2 years, we get together on a massive scale. And this year, in October, we'll get together in Brazil for one of these big continental gatherings. And this indeed will be a little bit bigger because delegates from the other continental networks will be coming. So it will be like a global gathering. We'll have people from Africa, Asia that are coming not as participants, but they really are the ones that pull the strings of these movements in those continents. So it will be a very important gathering. And as I started explaining to you, these gatherings are a primordial tool to build up the social tissue, the social fabric of anything that you want to create. Small scale, medium scale, big scale, these in-person meetings for not just a seminar or not just a workshop, but in-person community living, sharing for some days is very important to deepen the connections among the people.
That's really beautiful. I am, what it most impresses me is that it's an example of how grassroots movements can grow, and it's the change is truly coming from the people. And may we also influence our governments toward really creating true sustainable change. I want to thank you for this interview. As you know, I'm a big fan, and this is my way of contributing. I know it's a small way, but I'm very grateful to pass on what you do. And so I want to thank you.
Okay, thank you also. Thank you also very much. And I hope you keep on enjoying your pathway as a teacher.
Thank you very much, Jorge.